Hello everyone, welcome to SPOIL1923. Whether you've seen it or not, come check it out. Today we spoil The Ghost in the Air Conditioner, a top Thai ghost film based on true legends shared on Shock FM. Let's discover this thrilling story together. Before we start, please like to support my videos. If you subscribe, I deeply thank you. Let's roll out the red carpet into the spoilers. Warning, suitable for 18+ viewers. Under 18 should have guidance, and elderly with heart conditions need medical care. Watch with friends or a partner to avoid shock and wear a mask to prevent COVID-19. Enjoy the show. Thank you. Before we dive into the movie, let's jump into the spoilers. This content is for viewers 18 and over. Let's start with a star in front of a room. When the door opens, it's a headless ghost crawling in.
Warning, this content is suitable for viewers aged 18 and over. Viewers under 18 should have guidance, and elderly individuals with heart conditions should be under medical care. It's best to watch with friends or a partner to avoid excessive shock and to prevent COVID-19, so remember to wear a mask before watching. I hope everyone enjoys the show. Thank you.
The story opens with footage of a star standing in front of a room, looking completely normal, but when the door opens, reveals a headless ghost crawling in. The scene shifts to Pim being questioned about why she turned herself in. Pim recounts her experience. Pim and her bandmates walk to their assigned room. On Saturday night, it was around 2 a.m., and Pim's band, along with 5 friends, was walking to the room that the staff had guided them to. On the way, they kept complaining about having to play in a different province, until they finally reached their room. The scene cuts to the past, where Starlight is entering a room. Her man is sitting on a bed. Switching back to the group of musicians who are sitting around playing cards in the present, they hear a strange noise, and everyone looks at each other, realizing the sound is coming from under the bed. So one of them goes to check and bends down to look under the bed, but sees nothing. Meanwhile, Nui, who is lying on the bed, seems completely fine. It's like the scene from the past is showing that the star was killed by the man in that room, who then hid her head in the air conditioner, which is now the same room where the group of young musicians is currently staying. Suddenly, Awan glances over and notices a piece of fabric sticking out from the air conditioner. He stands there staring and tries to pull it out. It's like the scene from the past shows that the star was killed by the man in that room, who then cut off her head and hid it in the air conditioner, which is now the same room where the group of young musicians is currently staying. Suddenly, Awan's eyes catch a glimpse of a piece of fabric sticking out from the air conditioner. He stands there staring and tries to pull it out. Before Gop could see it, Boy walked in and asked what they were doing. Gop asked Boy if he noticed the piece of fabric when he came in, and Boy replied he wasn't sure because he didn't pay attention. Gop said he didn't see it either when he came in. Boy told him not to joke around, and Yai said that neither of them saw it either. The 4 of them looked at each other. Boy tried to pull the piece of cloth out of the air vent, but it turned out that the piece of cloth was very long, and the finance in the room was turned off. But it was just a prank, and they all started running away from there, leaving only Boy, who was still curious if there was something else stuck in the air conditioner. So he tried to open the grate and looked inside, and his eyes widened in shock at what he saw. He was so startled that he couldn't say anything and quickly walked out of the room. Gop, wondering why Boy rushed out like that, looked up at the open air conditioner and realized the answer, then followed him out. He tried to open the grate, and the look in his eyes, wide with shock, showed just how startled Boy was by what he saw in front of him. He couldn't even say a word, and quickly walked out of the room. Gop, wondering why Boy rushed out like that, looked up at the open air conditioner, and realized the answer, then followed him out as well. The rest of the friends were wondering where Gop and Boy had gone. Pim said she didn't know either. Suddenly, those two just walked out together. Awan feels hot and asks if someone turned off the air conditioning while grabbing a bottle of water to drink. He then sees a hallucination, as if there's hair in the water bottle he's drinking from. Awan wonders who took the lid off the air conditioning vent, so he asks Yai to close it. Yai then sees what the first two saw, and he starts shaking but doesn't say anything, and quickly walks out. Awan follows right after, but before Pim can go and cover the vent with a grate, she gets a phone call from downstairs to hurry. She quickly wakes Nui to go down together. Before heading down, they look up and see what others saw, a long-haired woman crawling out of the vent. The friends who went down earlier are gathered at the counter, and Awan asks if everyone saw the same thing. Pim and Nui come down, and everyone sees something behind Pim. When they look up, they see that ghostly woman right behind her. Feeling strange, she woke Nui to go down. Before heading down, they looked up and saw what others saw, a long-haired woman crawling out of the air conditioning vent. The friends who came down earlier are gathered at the counter. Owan asks, "Did everyone see the same thing?" After a while, Pim and Nui walk down. But everyone notices something behind Pim. When Pim looks up, she sees that ghostly woman right behind her. Boy, unable to control himself, runs out of the hotel and gets hit by a truck coming from the opposite direction, killing him instantly. It's Saturday at 11 Cow, and everyone is at the hospital, still shocked and saddened by what happened. Cobb washes his face, trying to clean blood off. A child hugs his legs. Awan asks Pim if she called home. Pim says no one answered. Yai wants to go home, but Awan says he can't. Tawan wants to go home too. Yai responds, "How can we go home together? We don't live in the same house." Tawan asks, "Where is your house?" and hands him a picture. Arn asked Pim if she had called home often. Pim said she had called, but no one answered. Ye says he wants to go home, and Awan tells him he can't just leave like that. Yai starts to complain and argues with Awan, when suddenly, a girl named Tawan comes up to him and says she wants to go home too. Yai replies, "How can we go home together? We don't live in the same house." Then Tawan asks, "Where is your house?" and hands him a picture. In the picture, there are two women standing in front of a house. Yai takes a look and is shocked to find that the other woman in the picture looks just like the ghostly woman he and his friends encountered. Awan asks to see the picture, and Yai questions if it's really her. Awan nods and hands the picture to Pim and Nui to look at. Everyone is startled and asks the little girl who the other woman in the picture is. She said, "The woman's name is Sengdao." Days later, Sengdao's headless body was found under a bed, with the head hidden in the air vent, tied with hair. Yai says, "Just like we did." The scene cuts back to the past of Sengdao, who enters a room where a man is present and she is harmed by that man. The little girl continues saying, days later, someone found Sengdao's body under the bed, but the body was headless. Later, the severed head was tied up with hair and hidden in the air conditioning vent. Awan asks how they found it. Yai chimes in, "They found it just like we did." Then, Cobb panics, seeing the ghost of Sengdao slowly crawling towards him, and a child ghost stares at him. Cobb freaks, pulls his gun, and shoots wildly, unable to see as the ghost child blocks his view. Ye quickly speaks up, saying, "That's how we found it, just like we did." After a while, Cobb starts to panic and sees the ghost of Sengdao slowly crawling towards him, and in front of her, there's also the ghost of a child staring at him. Cobb freaks out and pulls out the gun he has tucked at his waist, shooting wildly, without being able to see anything, because the ghost child is blocking his view. The friends shout at him to stop, but Cobb, who seems to have lost his mind, sees the ghost of Sengdao right in front of him. He then puts the gun in his mouth and pulls the trigger, killing himself. The scene cuts to Pim being interrogated. The police asked them if they had been using drugs. Pim denied that she and her friends were using drugs. But the police found drugs in Cobb's bag, which might have caused him to see hallucinations. On Saturday at 11 How, at the hospital, Nui brought water for everyone and shared what he found out. No one knows the girl named Tawan, the one who told the story about Sengdao, not even about the headless corpse at the hotel. No one at the hospital knows anything about it. Yai is shouting, "It's a dead person, not a sick one, and how would they know?" So they all decide to go to the temple to ask for information about Sengdao. The blind monk at the temple said someone brought in a headless corpse, and the cremation attendant hurried the ritual without finding the head. There were no relatives, and no one wanted to talk about it, turning it into a curse. Anyone who sees the face of the ghostly woman is destined to meet with death. There was one person, a man named Sam, still alive, who seemed to have gone mad. The monk called out to Sam, who peeked his head out from the room but seemed scared, and quickly shut the door again. The monk said the voice was from the person who took Sengdao's head down from the air vent. Ever since then, that person has been unable to sleep because whenever they doze off, they see Sengdao's ghost haunting them. But there was one person, Sam, who was still alive but seemed mad. The monk called to Sam, who peeked out, scared, and shut the door. The monk explained the voice was from the person who took Sengdao's head from the vent. Since then, they can't sleep, haunted by Sengdao's ghost. The monk performed a ritual to cleanse the curse, having him sleep in a tragic ghost's coffin for 7 days. Awan asked, "So we have to do this ritual too?" The monk replied, "What about the woman behind you? Isn't she joining us?" With only 4 of us, the monk realized the other woman was Sengdao's ghost, explaining the voice's fear. So the monk had to perform a ritual to cleanse the curse by having them sleep in the coffin of a ghost who died tragically. Midnight for 7 days, and only then could they sleep a little. Awan said, "So we have to do this ritual too, right?" The monk said, "And what about the woman behind you? There are only 4 of us here." The monk immediately understood that the other woman following them was the ghost of Sengdao, and that's why the voice was too scared to come out and approach him. All 4 of them were scared and shocked. Awan wondered why the blind monk could see so well. Pim felt like someone was behind her. And then she slowly felt the ghost of Sengdao reaching out to grab her shoulder. At the police station, Pim is interrogated. The police are unaware of hotel murders. Pim explains the monk told her to stay at the temple, while he performed a ritual. He sent 3 men to find a ghost coffin from nearby temples. On their drive, they noticed strange behavior from passing cars. Nui suspected something on their car roof, then saw a boy's figure there. Pim continued to explain that night, the monk instructed her to stay in the temple and not go anywhere at all while he would perform the ritual to cleanse the curse. He sent 3 guys out to find the coffin of a ghost who died unexpectedly nearby temples to complete the ritual on time. Pim asked the monk what would happen if they couldn't finish the ritual on time, but the monk didn't answer anything. The group driving to find the coffin noticed that the cars passing by were acting strangely, flashing their lights and honking their horns. Yai mentioned that he saw it too. Nui started to get suspicious that there might be something on the roof of their car, and then they saw the figure of a boy sitting on the roof. Uan commented on how hard it is to find a coffin of a ghost who died unexpectedly, and Yai said she didn't want to go anymore. She begged Nui to drive her home, saying that they just needed to turn up ahead to get to her place. Nui asked her, "What about the curse? Isn't she afraid of dying? Ask the unit to drive you home." She said, turning ahead leads to her house. Nui asked about the curse and dying. Yai said her house was safer. Worst case, her dad kicks them out. Yai suggested trying the ritual first. Yai got out, saw Sengdao's ghost in the car. At home, Yai thought she saw someone in the kitchen, but it was Sengdao's ghost. Wan and Nui found 2 ghost coffins. At the temple, the monk cancelled the ritual, saying it was pointless if late. Wang complained about waiting for death. Pim asked about Yai, saying not to leave him alone, so they went to find him. Ye saw someone in the kitchen. Wan and Nui found coffins. The monk cancelled the ritual. They went to find Yai. Nui saw a ghost in the car. The scene shifts to Uan and Nui, who find 2 coffins of ghosts. Returning to the temple, they learn the monk cancelled the ritual, explaining it's pointless if the timing is missed. Uan questions why he must wait for death. Pim insists they find Yai, so they set out. As they approach the car, Nui sees a child ghost in the driver's seat and shuts the door. Pim asks what's wrong and urges haste. On the way, Uan dreams of Yai's and his own death, waking when Pim announces their arrival at Yai's house. Pim and Nui enter the house, shocked to find Yai hanging. Meanwhile, Uan, outside, encounters the ghost of Sengdao under the car. On the way, Uan dreamed of Yai's death and his own, and he jolted awake when Pim called out that they had arrived at Yai's house. Pim and Nui were about to enter the house, but Wan said he would wait in the car instead, claiming he was afraid the car would get stolen. When Pim and Nui went inside, they were shocked to find Yai hanging in the middle of the room. At that moment, Wan was bending down to grab something from under the car, and encountered the legs of the ghost of Sengdao. Cut to Pim and the police. The police say that Yai committed suicide because he had problems with his family. Pim explains that the day before Yai left home, they encountered Yai's parents, who scolded them for leading their son astray, and refused to listen to anything they had to say. Pim continued to explain that night, they decided to go back and sleep at the temple. At 3 a.m. on Sunday, Juan thought that sleeping in the coffin of a ghost who died unexpectedly was like a rebirth ritual, even though it wasn't done properly. Pim and Nui tried to convince him, but he wouldn't listen. That night, they encountered the ghost of Sayang Dao in the coffin. The next morning, when Pim and Nui came to check. But when they opened the coffin, they found that Juan had already died, in a position that looked like he was trying to struggle to get out of the coffin. Pim and police suspect Awan's asphyxiation. Police doubt Pim's door claim. Pim and Nam investigate Sang Dao at the hotel, find letters, and learn of her pregnancy. They visit Sang Dao's mother, who says she ran away. Pim discovers Tawan, a hospital girl, is Sang Dao's sister. Nam and Pim seek the truth, beginning at the hotel where Sang Dao died. Upon arrival, they enter the room. Staff shows Sang Dao's belongings, mostly letters. Staff mentions Sang Dao died pregnant. Pim takes the letters to the address. They meet Sang Dao's mother and give her the letters. They see a student photo of Sang Dao. Her mother says Sang Dao ran away long ago, and she doesn't know where she is. Pim sees a photo of two girls, shocked, as it's the same as Tawan's, the hospital girl, and asks who she is. Her mother explains Tawan is Sang Dao's younger sister. They were close until Sang Dao left, and Tawan took her life in that room. They meet Sang Dao's mother, and they hand over Sang Dao's letters to her. They see a picture of Sang Dao when she was a student. Sang Dao's mother tells them that Sang Dao ran away from home a long time ago, and she doesn't know where to look for her. Pim sees a picture of two little girls, and is shocked, because it's the same one she saw of Tawan, the girl at the hospital. So she asks who the girl is. Sang Dao's mother explains that Tawan is Sang Dao's younger sister. These two were very close, always together, until Sang Dao ran away from home, and then Tawan ended up taking her own life in that very room. Suddenly, there's a loud commotion coming from the next room, and Sang Dao's mother quickly tells Nom and Pim to leave, but Nom secretly sees that there's someone chained up in that room. Sang Dao and Tawan were close until Sang Dao left home, leading Tawan to take her life. Suddenly, a commotion arises next door, prompting Sang Dao's mother to urge Nom and Pim to... Suddenly, there's a loud commotion coming from the next room, and Sang Dao's mother quickly tells Nom and Pim to leave. But Nom secretly sees that there's someone chained up in that room. After leaving Sang Dao's house, they were haunted. Sang Dao's ghost appeared, causing a crash. Her mother glared at her stepfather. Flashbacks showed the assault, prompting Sang Dao to flee and Tawan to take her life. After the crash, Nam found Pim in the water, where Sang Dao's ghost tried to pull her down. Nam saved her. At Sang Dao's house, her mother looked at her stepfather with eyes full of anger, and flashbacks appeared showing the moment when Sang Dao's stepfather tried to assault her in front of Tawan, her younger sister. This was the event that forced Sang Dao to run away from home, which ultimately led Tawan to take her own life. Nam regained consciousness, but didn't see Pim. He saw Pim walking into the water to drown herself, with Sang Dao's ghost pulling her. Nam saved her and rescued her. At the police station, the officer asks about Nam. Pim says, after that, Nam went to do a coffin ritual with a monk and hasn't seen him since. The police doubt Pim's story, saying they've seen this before with the same name, a prisoner awaiting questioning, a killer. He hanged himself in jail, with blood writing saying Sang Dao. The police tell Pim to rest, as she must be tired and they'll call her later. The scene shifts to Pim with the police, but Sang Dao's ghost appears, shocking the officer. The police doubt Pim's story, noting they've seen similar cases before, the same character name. A prisoner, a psychopathic killer, hanged himself in jail, leaving Sang Dao written in blood on the wall. They advise Pim to rest, promising to call her back for questioning. The scene shifts to Pim in front of the police, but Sang Dao's ghost appears, shocking the officer. The video ends with Pim saying that experiencing such events might make you avoid people. The police told Pim to go back and rest, because he thought she was very tired. He would call her in for questioning again. Then the image of Pim sitting in front of her changed into a ghost of Sayang Dao, with a ghost of Date sitting in the room too. The police had to scream out loud. The film ends with Pim saying that if you experience same thing as Pim, you might not want to meet people again. How's it going with the ghost? In the air conditioner. I hope it pleased those of you who requested it. And for the other stories that others have asked for, don't feel disheartened. I'm working on them in the order that you requested. And before we say goodbye, as usual, the top comment on this video is, I kicked you out, and you didn't come out. So what are you going to do with it? I see that you all liked it a lot. So I decided to give it to you in this economic situation, If there are any mistakes in this video, I apologize for that. For today, SPOIL1923, I'll take my leave now. See you in the next video. Goodbye.